Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Queen's Park for Life. I am Glenn Marshall, your host, as is always the case. This week sees us get the man behind the camera and the live streaming of football games. Warren Smith, how you doing, mate?
Good, man. No, not too bad, not too bad.
Did you have a good day out yesterday?
Awesome. It was a fantastic day. It was great to get out, see a couple of quality teams out there, get a couple wins, put some points on the board, so that's always a good thing to see.
For sure. And great job on the streaming again, mate.
Well, probably not my best effort. I had a bit of technical difficulties with the women's game. Ended up the battery ran short, and unfortunately for the external battery pack I had, I didn't have the right cord for it. So apologies to those out there that were watching the women's. Bradley, especially you. I know I told you, mate, that I was going to have that. So you got to see about 65 minutes of it, maybe 70. But yeah, apologies for the last little bit.
No, that's right. I think the game was done by that point anyway. I think we might have been about 3-0 up.
Yeah.
Oh well, look, mate. What brought you to Invercargill, and how did you get involved with Queen's Park?
Well, originally, I'm from Canada, for those that don't know, and I was actually in South Korea. I was teaching over there, taught over there 11 years, I believe, 12 years, and it was kind of time. You know, it was, my oldest would have been starting school there, and I wasn't keen on putting her into the school system over there. And again, I'm not trying to slag the Korean system. It's one of those things where it is a very highly competitive atmosphere, and I kind of at that point I longed for kind of the more outdoors, Western kind of education system, where it's just not as competitive. So yeah, I had a buddy that was actually down here working at SIT, said that there was probably some jobs available. So look, I applied all over the place. I applied throughout the world, back home in Canada, obviously, US, Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, and it came in with the best job offer. So I came down here over Christmas, to kind of tour around a little bit, see what things are like. And to tell you the truth, it's the same as my hometown. You could literally just switch the two, and it's a similar feel. It's a similar size. The people are same kind of attitude and things like that. So personally, I feel quite right at home. I find Kiwis are quite like Canadians, to tell you the truth. So it's been a good transition. It's basically just in quality of life, really. Yep.
Fair enough. And who did you meet to get involved with Queen's Park? Was it Monty?
It was Monty. Happened to be, having a few down at Editor's Cut, which is supporting the sponsor. So we were having a few down there, and they were trying to organize, I believe it must have been the Div 1 team, and they were short some players, and they said, hey, have you played before? I'm like, well, yeah, I have. Why don't you come on out and play? And you don't have to play that much, but we'll have you on as a sub. Give guys some breathers and stuff. And, okay, I'll come on down. So that was my first experience into Queen's Park, and meeting actually Chris Pearson.
Oh.
So yeah, it was interesting.
Did you meet him at the game or at the pub? Because it's two different situations.
It wasn't at the pub. The pub came later, but it was on the pitch. And kind of waited my turn and kind of got subbed on. And as I came on, I wasn't on maybe 5 minutes, and he came charging out of his cage, and sure enough had one of the poor old boys players do a 360 in the air and land on his back. So that was it was quite an interesting introduction to Chris Pearson in Queen's Park.
Oh, fair enough. Straight into the depths there, mate.
Yep.
What other sports are you involved with? You do some volleyball coaching and stuff, don't you? And sort of, how would you compare those sports to football?
I do. I coach with Volley South. I'm the head of the men's program there. So really, that's the only one kind of I'm involved with there. But I mean, that's my background, right? Like my background is in physical education, sport management. I know it doesn't look like it right now, carrying a little bit more weight than when I was younger. That is my education. Growing up, I played a multitude of sports, the whole gamut, to tell you the truth. And so involved with coaching down here. I've been in coaching for a number of years. So if you're comparing the sports, it's pretty tough. I mean, smaller number of players obviously is the easy one, but I think when you look at the talent that the talent is there. You know, both have quite a talent pool. Obviously, I think more in Southland tend to play football. So you're going to have more players there, and naturally more talent there. But we've got some good talent with volleyball as well too. I guess one thing that is really different for me as I guess, not that I coach, but just kind of being back and not actually playing here. It's obviously it's a lot more difficult because you're managing more players.
Yeah.
And more players now is more. You're dealing with more personality,
more work, for sure.
And it is, and it's one of those things where it's different. It's not like, you know, the 70s or the 80s where it was all about the coach and the coach's philosophy, and I'm going to tell you what to do, and this is exactly what you're going to do, and you're going to follow exactly what I want. It's not like that anymore, where a lot of it is that kind of HR side, and you are working with emotions and players and feelings and families and all these sorts of things that come along with sport.
And I guess the more people involved in the sport, the more work there is to do in that regard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the one thing I have noticed, if you're looking for commonalities, that sort of thing, one thing I've noticed, and I don't know what it is, in Southland, people don't tend to talk while they play sports. Now, maybe it's the sports that I've been to. It could be one of those things, maybe rugby or netball. They're really loud. But I've just really noticed that a lot of younger players, and even, you know, I call the guys on the team younger players, I'm freaking old, but they don't communicate that much on the pitch. Yeah. And same, they don't communicate that much on the court. And it's really hard to try to get them into that communication sphere and get them to understand that they just need to talk about, like, what are they seeing? Because, okay, we can't read minds, right?
Yeah.
It's not a hive mentality where you need to understand what other people are seeing and how they're interpreting things. And granted, if you play together as a team for a number of games and a number of years and a number of seasons, what have you, you're going to get to understand people's tendencies and how they react in different situations. You're going to know that. Good example, kind of, you know, Rio and Bradley, or Rio and Liam, you know, Liam McClure. You get to know what people are doing and how they're going to react. But especially when you've got new players coming into a team, it's so important that you need to communicate, because they need to get caught up and they need to understand what are you seeing versus what are they seeing. For
sure, and obviously responsibility falls on older players on the teams as well. That's to sort of guide younger players through situations. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when did you come to Invercargill? What year, roughly?
I think about April of 2017.
2017, so that's about 6 years.
About 6 years, yeah.
What are the biggest changes you've noticed in the football club since you've been here?
I mean, if you're looking for easy things, I mean, obviously the number of teams. So you've expanded. You've got a number of teams. Obviously the club rooms. You know, fantastic club rooms now.
Great venue.
Absolutely wonderful. I mean, looking forward to seeing those lights in there as well too. But I guess one of the biggest things I've probably noticed is the focus that Queen's Park and their committees have put on women's sport. It's really nice to see that we're kind of leading that charge with creating some of these all-women's teams rather than mixed teams for the local youth competition. And I think it's so important that women have their own space and they have their own team. And obviously we're playing on kind of the success of the premier women's team with Queen's Park, who have just been absolutely gangbusters the past, 4-5 years.
Even longer.
Even longer
There's obviously a couple of years in there they didn't win the league, but they're still second best.
But it's nice to see. So my daughter is part of that as well too. She plays for the Queen's Park Queens. But you know, it's nice to see them organizing these teams, and you know, it's something that, you know, talking on the sidelines with some of the other parents, some of the whanau, you know, they notice that as well too. So you're starting to see, you know, some of the players come over to Queen's Park as well, seeing how the girls are playing cohesively together, how the coaching is helping improve not only their playing but their confidence as well too. So to me, that's one of the biggest things, is seeing that emphasis on women in sport.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. It is good to see that. And at the end of the day, you can't progress if you don't start somewhere.
That's right. So. That's right. And if it's anything else, I probably would echo what Caleb Castle said last week around just the attitude towards, I guess, winning. It's not just about a club and we're kind of a social club and we just get together and play football. It's more, well, no, we want to compete. We want to compete at the highest level. Can we push ourselves?
Yeah.
That's part of it is that as well too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's part of the club philosophy,
Yep.
obviously, is provide the highest level of competition that we can for our members. So,
Yep.
so on the filming, how much do you enjoy doing it? Is it sort of the live streaming? Is it something that you like to do, or is it more just you're just happy to help the club in any way you can? Or?
It's probably a little bit of both. I don't mind doing it. It's kind of hard to keep quiet at times. I've kind of gone between commentating and not commentating. It is tough, probably more so when you're away. Probably the Roslyn game was a bit difficult to kind of keep quiet when you've got quite a few fans out there, obviously that are expressing their viewpoints.
Yeah.
But no, look. I realize from a coaching point of view how important it is to be able to review your performance.
100%.
And it's one thing, you kind of, we all know that, the kind of the fishing stories, that the fish that's ends up being, this big, or ends up being a shark, 10, 15 years down the road. I think it's important that especially the higher level players, the SPL team, Donald Gray, the Premier Women, that they do get some film on there and they do get some, they get an opportunity to be able to review themselves. And you're not having to push them to do it. If they want to do it, it's there. But I do know a number of the SPL guys especially do review their performance. And it's not just kind of a one-off. The guys review it a few times during the week to try to pick up on tendencies of opponents and just kind of what they're doing and how they can improve. And
certainly the coaches, they love it.
Exactly.
Paddy picks everything apart, for sure.
But like we were saying at a meeting the other day, it is a double-edged sword, though. It's one of those things you've got to take the good with the bad. You can't always focus on the negatives. You have to look at, what are you doing well as a team as well too. Individually, what are you doing well? What can you continue to do to help your team? But otherwise, I do enjoy it. It's nice being around that team atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? It's nice being around a club, a group of guys that support one another. There's no bickering. There's no infighting. It's just a solid group of guys. So happy to kind of help out. Yeah.
Yep. And I think Mitch probably needs to stump up for a proper camera, doesn't he? I think it's about time. Especially when we've got phones going flat. We don't worry about that.
Look, it's one of those things. I know how hard the committee's worked, and I know that the venue that we've got here now is fantastic, and I know it's been on the cards for a while to get some lights. So I do understand that is quite important for the club to be able to hold our training sessions here, even in the evenings and things. I do think it would be quite beneficial for the club, to tell you the truth, and it's something that I think. It is an expense, and I completely understand that. And you've got to have that devil's advocate. You've got to have someone like Mitch, who is there looking after the money to keep your club financially viable. And Mitch and the leadership team here have put the club in a very good standing with regards to finances, which is great. But it's one of those things that, look, maybe it's some extra fundraisers that we need to do, because everyone can benefit. It's not one of those things where I don't want to make it seem like I'm stumping for a camera just for the SPL side. That's not it. It's one of these things that can be used for all the other teams. When we're away, often a lot of the other clubs already have them. So we can just get the footage from them. So if we're away, I don't need to go, we don't need to bring the camera. It can be used here for the Donald Gray side or the women's side. We can use it for the youth during the mornings. You know what I mean? Different tournaments. If we want to host tournaments, we can do that. And even just renting it out. You can rent it out to different things. I'm sure volleyball would love to have it if we host some tournaments here. We could use it there. So you're able to kind of pay that back quite quickly, I think. So
look, you've talked me into it, mate. Mitch, come on, mate, sort it out. Dip into that wee slush fund you got going on, mate. So obviously you see most of the games because you're live streaming, especially the SPL team itself. How do you see them finishing this season? Where do you think they can get to? Mid-table seems to sort of be the general consensus that it's certainly within grasp. There's only 5 points, I think, between about 5th and 10th. So
it's a tough one. Patty, Corey, and myself were actually talking about this the other night at practice. You know, but to be fair, it was probably me just listening to Corey and Patty. But but anyway, yeah, we were talking about it. This year seems to be a bit of an interesting year where you know, last year, our first time back in the league in a number of years, you kind of knew. You kind of go, okay, these are the top four. You know, they are in this tier. You know, we're probably in that second tier, but you know, we're pushing. You know, we're giving these guys good games, but we're probably in that second tier. Whereas this year, you know, it just seems to be anyone can beat anyone on a day. You know, there seems to be a lot stranger kind of results coming through, and so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But where do I think they can finish? Obviously, yeah, I think they could probably finish about where they did last year, middle of the table, probably, you know, fourth might be a bit tough based on kind of recent results. We're just not getting the points, but yeah. I do think middle of the table. I tend to look at sports though when you're asking, you know, I always think, you know, you're probably going to end up winning one game during a season that no one thought you'd ever win, and you're probably going to, you know, lose one that you probably thought, oh my God, why the heck did we do that? So it's so kind of halfway point. I still think we'll probably be towards the middle, but the boys are really going to have to dig in and start putting points on the board. I think that we need to start putting balls in the net. We really do. I mean, yeah. and that's the main thing. It's not like you can point to a whole bunch of different factors. Look, the back line I think has been great. I think Chris has been solid in the net. I think our midfield's been quite good as well. Up front seems to look good, but it's that last 5%. It's literally the composure around the net and just putting it in. At times, just making that extra pass when we should be greedy and just take the shot. But yeah, so I think probably middle of the table. More realistically, I'm probably going to say 6th or 7th. I think Patty will kill me, and Patty and Corey will probably have to go with me. But you know, if you're asking me, I'm probably thinking 6th or 7th. I think we'll definitely stay in. Yeah. I think with the form that these guys have right now, I'd be absolutely shocked to see us finish at the bottom. I don't think that'll happen. They'll move up the table. It's just, can they get up to kind of a 4th or 5th? I don't know.
Oh, well, we'll go through the results from yesterday, and I'm actually going to start things off with Division 2, since they managed to win themselves the league title. They did it the hard way with a 1-1 draw against Wyndham. I believe they were 1-0 down as well. Mm-hmm. Got the goal. I think it was in the second half they scored.
Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, congratulations to them. Old Boys Black couldn't get the job done out in Gore, losing to Gore, so that handed us the title, which.
It's great to see. It's great to see, you know, the Div 2 side pull through and be able to bring home some hardware for the club. Yeah. I know I was talking to a few of the guys who are quite chuffed about their performance and things. And you know, like you said, you know, at Queen's Park we don't tend to do things the easy way. We do things the right way, the hard way, and the Queen's Park way. And I think it was certainly the Queen's Park way again.
Commiserations to Wyndham, to be fair, because they went undefeated. They didn't lose a single game in that league. Unfortunately, had 3 draws and.
Yeah, and that's absolutely heartbreaking. You know, when you put in a season like that and not able to finish it off. But look, you know, kudos to the guys for being able to, you know, consistently still perform and pip them at the line. Yeah.
So other results, SPL team obviously had a bye. Mm-hmm. Don Gray at home had a handy 8-1 win over Tianao. Mm-hmm. A game controlled for the night, probably 85 of the 90 minutes, I'd say. Yep. And again, the goal that Tianao scored, another mistake from us, which seems to be how it happens for the Don Gray team at the moment. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It was good to see them put in the performance, but again, it is one of those things that hopefully the guys will kind of reflect on that. And those are the games against the Old Boys and the Thistles and some of those tougher games you can't turn off. And unfortunately, you switch off for 5 minutes, and it costs you a goal. Great long-range shot by Sashi.
Yeah, it was a good finish.
Yeah. It was a really good finish. But look, the guys look dangerous in all phases. Really good. They probably should have put a few more in, to be fair. But it was nice to see them move the ball around some with authority. I thought Corey played quite well on the back line, being able to kind of marshal the troops.
He's excellent at that, just sitting at the back, reading the game and just ordering people around. one of his specialties, I'd say.
And as you know, as I said earlier, I mean, it goes back to communication. Just having that one loud voice on the pitch, just kind of directing everyone. So if things are going a bit pear-shaped or things aren't going your way, you've got someone basically instructing. You don't really have to think. It's just listen to what that voice is telling you to do and move forward with it. So, yeah.
And then, I guess the main game, straight after it on the same pitch here at home, Queen's Park women, they're allergic to losing, aren't they?
They are.
Every time they get that looks like they're going to be a challenge, they just overcome it. And 4-0 win over Old Boys yesterday. To be fair, it wasn't a 4-0 game, certainly not. The first 25 minutes, we were under a lot of pressure,
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think Old Boys really carried almost, pretty close to that first half. They were, you know, Queen's Park did have a few chances in there, but it was more on the counter. I really thought that Old Boys were really taking it to them. You know, some really good movement through the midfield, and I think up front from Old Boys. But look, Ashley came in with that great header right off the corner, but I don't know, maybe 3-4 minutes left in the first half, which I actually
I can't speak enough about that header, to be fair, especially looking into the sun, because the men's game beforehand, we had half a dozen corners and no one could get near the ball.
No, it was an absolute fantastic
pinged
corner.
It straight into the top corner.
Yeah, and I think that really knocked the Old Boys team. I think it really took the wind out of their sails. And you know, kudos to Leanne for kind of marshalling the troops at halftime and keeping them together and focused. And they came out in the second half, and like you said, I think the second half was a lot more competitive. You know, kudos to the girls, to the women, just came out and put in a really good commanding performance. But as you said, it wasn't, looking at the scoreline, it wasn't a really 4-0 game.
No.
It was a lot closer than that.
Old Boys certainly could have had 2 or 3 goals in that first half. I guess maybe they've got the same problem that their USPL team have, where they can't finish anything. But
the one thing I was talking to my daughter after the game, and one thing she commented on was the difference in age. She thought, you know, when she kind of looks at the Queen's Park team, she sees the older kind of veterans on the team being able to kind of provide that the calming influence maybe on some of the younger players and a bit more direction. Whereas if you look at the Old Boys squad, you know, they've got a lot of youth, and I just wonder if that poise and that, you know, that ability to finish around the box and understand kind of the gravity of those games and how important those games are. I wonder if that was just maybe missing. They just don't have that right now. Whereas again, we've talked about
there was a big crowd as well.
There was,
which can be off-putting if you're not used to that.
That's right. Huge crowd here yesterday, which was great to see for arguably the premier match of the day.
It's not arguable, mate. Certainly was. I think Van scored the second goal, didn't she?
I believe so,
and Tyler Andrews bagged a couple as well.
That's right.
So yeah, look, congratulations, girls. It's sort of half the job done, but carry on next week. And the Level 1 Division 2 team had a 3-1 win over, not Old Boys Black, the other Old Boys team.
Old Boys Red?
Yeah, I think they used to be called Red. I don't know what they are now, but... and shout out to Matty Ward, scored his first goal for the club.
Excellent. Always good to hear.
So he's had a good spell the last month.
Excellent.
Most talented person in the club and scoring goals.
And he's got a trophy to prove it.
yeah, that's right. Oh well, mate, we'll move into the challenge segment of the show. I know you've been hanging out for this.
Yes.
So how this works is there's a 5-question quiz. You get 10 seconds to answer each question. Each question or correct answer is worth 10 points.
Yep.
Question number 1, mate.
Oh, God.
The Chiefs will meet the Crusaders in next week's Super Rugby final after beating the Brumbies by what scoreline last night?
I think it was 19-6.
It was 19-6. That's spot on, mate.
All right. I haven't been shut out.
Perfect. 1 from 1. Good start. Question number 2. The All Whites lost to Sweden on Saturday morning. What was the final score?
I believe Sweden had 4. Did New Zealand score? I'm going to go 4-1.
Bang on, mate.
Great.
New Zealand actually opened the scoring.
Okay.
Yeah. We went 1-0 up after about 6 or 7 minutes and then conceded 3 goals before half time. And she was downhill from there. Righto, mate. Question number 3. You're on a hot streak here. The Black Sticks upset who in a 2-1 win this morning?
Was it the Matildas? Was it Australia?
No, it was
Damn
not. It was world number 2, Argentina. Yes, so 2 from 3. You're still tracking right here, mate. Question number 4. Name the New Zealand IndyCar driver involved in a crash during the practice session this morning in Chicago.
I can see his face, can't remember his name. I don't know, Verstappen, I don't know.
No, it was Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon, damn it!
6-time IndyCar champion, Scott
no.
Dixon.
Sorry, Scott. Not an IndyCar guy.
Question number 5.
Yep.
The Ashes is underway with the first test being held in Birmingham. Who is England's head coach?
I don't know. Barrett. Choose a random last name.
It is Brendan McCullum, former New Zealand Test player. So, yeah, look, mate, that's okay.
I'll
That's
take
okay.
2. I figured I was getting 0, so I'll take 2.
Yeah, exactly. Take
Yep.
that. Oh, well, we'll head outside and have a go at some shots, mate. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Righto, Warren. Not really familiar territory for you, getting the old boots on, but
No, I'm usually outside the pitch, not inside the pitch.
yeah. How do you think you'll go here, mate?
Oh, listen, if I get 1 in, I'll be happy.
Fair enough, fair enough. Just a reminder how this works. You get 3 headers and 3 shots from outside the box. If you score in the mini goal, 25 points.
Okay.
On target in the big goal, 10 points.
Okay.
And it's just your best of 10.
Awesome.
Good luck, mate.
Awesome. Thank you.
Happy to get 1, you say. Mate, you smashed it. Absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
Well done.
I honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm pretty surprised. I'm pretty surprised at that myself. But look, you know, I figure, you know, no one is really stepping up for the SPL side. I watched Calum's performance last week. Calum, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. I know you're going to play probably a bit more up front, but look, I'm throwing my hat in the ring. Paddy, come on, you saw.
Yeah, I think you'll be on the bench next week, mate, to be honest.
Wouldn't be the first time Paddy's put me on the bench.
Yeah, just get on for those attacking corners. That'd be
That's
handy,
right.
wouldn't it? Rise like a salmon. That was a beautiful header, mate. And one and done too.
One and done.
Didn't even need 3 goes.
No.
Ah, well done, mate.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah, so look, Burgie's Bookies, fan favourite.
Yes.
I think there's 3 fixtures for him to deal this week.
Yeah.
Between the SPL, the women and the DG team. So what do you got for us, Burgie? Let us have it, mate.
Welcome to another edition of Burgie's Bookies. This week for you we have from the Southern Premier League, Green Island versus Queen's Park. Form line, both teams had a rest last week because of Chatham Cup, so they should be rearing to go. Odds are Green Island $2.20, Queen's Park $2.80, draw $3. Donald Gray qualifier, Gore Reserves versus Queen's Park. Form line, Gore Reserves lost 4-0 to Thistle Prems last week. Queen's Park beat TNL 8-1. Odds are Gore Reserves $15, Queen's Park $1.05, draw $8. Colt Cup, Thistle versus Queen's Park. Form line, Thistle beat Winton 3-2 last week. Queen's Park beat Old Boys 4-0. Odds are Thistle $15, Queen's Park $1, draw $9. Please gamble responsibly.
Yeah, no, he's put the extra work in this week, I think, with the extra fixture.
Yeah.
Look, he was spot on last week, 2 from 2. So
Yeah, he was.
you can't argue with the man's stats.
No.
He probably should actually be getting a job at the TAB, I think.
might make Mitch's sponsorship applications a bit more difficult. But look, yeah, no, to be fair, he's been quite good this season. So
Yeah. Right, I'll go through the draw for this week's fixtures. The SPL team are away to Green Island, kicking off at 2:45. Are you heading up to live stream, mate? You're not sure yet? Or?
Not sure yet. I probably will try my best to head up to that one. I think it's a big match for the boys. I think they're really eager to try to put 3 points on the board.
Yep.
And we had a good result earlier against them. So yeah, hopefully the boss will let me go.
Yep, true. Fair enough. The Donald Gray team are also away to Hyde Park, my favourite ground, at 3 p.m. kick-off there, which that's against the Gore reserve team though, not the top team, as we obviously played them a couple of weeks ago. The women head to O'Rourke Park at 1 o'clock to play Thistle in their third game of the proper competition, as it is. So good luck to them. I'm sure they'll do the business.
Yeah, it should be another good match for the women, and hopefully they can continue the winning ways.
Yep. And Division 2 obviously is now over and it goes into the split, so there is no fixtures released yet. I'm sure they'll obviously come out next week during the week. So good luck to all the teams. Thank you, Warren. Thanks for coming in and having a chat, mate.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that were sort of trying to put a face to the man behind the camera, so now they can. So thank you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Queen's Park for life. See you next week.
Man.